Alright, y'all, so here is the official beginning to the Epistola Alexandri ad Aristotleum. I have right here a printed copy of the letter of Alexander to Aristotle, and I am about to start the section of Alexander the Great on the YouTube channel. I have Wikipedia pulled up right here, and I'm going to try and print this off as well. It's kind of interesting when you look at, when you first type in on Google, right, the letter of Alexander the Great to Aristotle, right? You type that in. I saw a different one. They think it's fictional. Whoever put that up there obviously doesn't research very, very well. And yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting letter. I've read it before. I'm gonna do a little bit more studying before I do some filming on it. But yeah, this is kind of like the introduction to like the actual historic Alexander the Great. And we got it. So yeah, I'm gonna try and print what's on Wikipedia about it off as well, but I kind of want to read it to you. I wanted to show the pictures in color as well and kind of give you a detailed, legitimacy of this letter. So the Epistola Alexandri ad Aristotleum, letter of Alexander to Aristotle, is a purported letter from Alexander the Great to the philosopher Aristotle concerning his adventures in India. Although accepted for centuries as genuine, it is today regarded as apocryphal. So, and like that's, it's kind of weird that they use that word. They're trying to say that they doubt its authenticity, I'm pretty sure. Apocryphal would mean like it's a legitimate text, but there's skepticism about it. That's actually what they use for biblical texts. Like they're skeptical. There's the books of the Apocrypha, and there's the books of the canon. You understand what I'm saying? Like canon is like biblical doctrine. Apocryphal books are reference books to the biblical truth and the biblical narrative. So very interesting that they use that word. It is a primary source for most of the tales of the marvelous and fabulous found in the later Alexander traditions. The textual history, guys. So that's what I wanted to get at with you as well. The Epistola was composed in Greek, same as the Bible, same language as the Bible. The original version may have adhered more closely to historical fact than later versions. An abridged version, including much fabulous material, was incorporated into the Alexander Romance, no later than the 3rd century AD. In the Greek Alpha recension of the Romance, the letter is chapter 17 of Book 3. The Epistola was widely translated and circulated both with the various versions of the Romance and independently of it. In some later Greek recensions of the Romance, the letter is switched from the first person to the third person, losing the character of a letter and melded seamlessly into the narrative. Julius Verilius most likely made the first translation of the letter into Latin. Around 310, he partially incorporated it into his Latin translation of the Romance. A fuller translation into Latin was made sometime between the 4th and 7th centuries. This last version circulated independently of the Romance and is found in 135 manuscripts. And the Zakar Epitome, a heavily abridged version of Verilius's translation of the Romance with the letter excised, was actually accompanied by the full translation of the letter in the manuscripts. Sometime before 1000, a revised version of the Latin Epistola was produced. Its Latin is less polished. It circulated alongside Leo of Naples' translation of the Romance. The first vernacular translation in Western Europe was made into Old English and interpolated into Alfred the Great's translation of Orosius in the 10th century. It is preserved in the Noel Codex. So basically what that is saying right there, guys, I actually ordered this in English, but you know what they sent me? They sent me the Old English, and good luck trying to read Old English in American modern English. It's very difficult, and it doesn't really make all that much sense, to be honest with you. It looks a lot like, I think it's a lot like that. So imagine trying to read that, like that's Greece or Greeks. But this is my language, American English. So, yeah, dude, it's gonna be great. The original translation was in the Mercian dialect, but the surviving version is West Saxon. A separate Middle English translation was made between about 1250 and 1300 for the Romance king Alisonder. In addition, the Epistola was twice translated into Old Irish and twice into Old French. There is also an Old Norse version. That's freaking sweet, dude. From Iceland, and an Italian version known from a 15th century manuscript. Dude. The Eastern tradition of the Epistola stems from the Syriac translation of the Romance. Not all derivative versions retain the letter. However, it is absent in the Armenian. Two translations of Syriac into Arabic were made in the 9th century. That's pretty sweet because, you know, he fought against the Arabs, so they wanted to know what was in the letter as well. Were made in the 9th century. Although one of these translations is lost, its version of the Epistola was incorporated into a separate popular romance about Alexander, the Sirat al-Iskandar. Arabic. Material derived from the Arabic Epistola can also be found, no longer in the form of a letter, in the Persian Shamanema and Iskandernama. The Epistola or material from it entered Ethiopic and Turkish through translations of the Romance and Iskandernama, respectively. And I don't need to give you the synopsis. We're going to go through it, dude. But yeah, dude, it's a legit historical document, man. And it may very well be, yeah, I mean, we'll read it and then you can, that's the great thing about having a brain, is you can interpret for yourselves if you think it was written by Alexander or if it's a hoax. And yeah, pretty awesome. So, we're not saying goodbye completely to Beowulf, but Beowulf was found. That's the other thing I wanted to show in reference to the book that I kind of was inspired by Beowulf and Viking culture. When they found the book of Beowulf in that English abbey, the abandoned abbey, they found it in, I think, with 5 other manuscripts, ancient literature with it. One of them was this letter, the letter of Alexander the Great to Aristotle, I think in Old English. So you guys know what I believe about Beowulf, and obviously you're going to know what I believe about Alexander the Great. And I hope you have fun with me on this adventure. I'm not trying to get too excited. I'm in a library, but they're closing up and cleaning up, so I think we're good. And yeah, that's my school. It's pretty awesome.